LSI 2021 at the beautiful Ritz-Carlton Laguna Niguel. It's nearly true tales of innovation. I'm your host, Benjamin Glenn. Hi, let's say welcome to my guest, Stephen Ralph of Gore. Stephen, it's great to be here with you today.
It's a great opportunity to be here, so thank you.
So Gore is involved in just a number of different things. As we were talking before, I've been to the innovation center that you have in Silicon Valley, which is down by the San Jose airport. I think when I walked away from that, the vertical depth that Gore, when you get involved in a vertical. So can you talk about the process for that? I mean, does Gore look for a space, or do people identify the space? How do new ideas come about in Gore?
Yeah, that's a really good question because if you think about Gore, Gore is really a materials-based company or a materials science company, and within Gore there are three divisions. There's the medical division, there's the fabrics division, and everybody knows fabrics, the Gore-Tex jackets or the Gore-Tex material, and then there's Gore PSD, which is the professional products. And these products are used in everything from computers to smartphones, to the mission to Mars, the cables. So there's, a million and one different applications. But I guess, the fundamental, the common thread is really the material science, that was developed by Mr. Gore originally. And what we try and do is enable, whether it's medical or industrial, with that Gore technology. So as Gore, what we're looking for in medical is, can we actually partner, whether it's a startup or a mid-stage company, and enable that, with Gore technology. So, it could be a win-win, for a startup or a mid-stage enablement with Gore technology. And I can talk a little bit more in more detail what we look for in Gore in terms of the market opportunity, the mega trends, etc. But it's really around that, the Gore materials and the enablement of that Gore material science.
So if a startup is out there, is there a rubric that they can use, or how would they know that it's the right time to reach out to Gore? Or maybe Gore could be the partner that they need in the early stage, or when's the right, how do they know? I should talk to Gore about this.
Yeah, so Gore is pretty active out there in the startup community, through meetings like this one, through Scott Pentel, LSI. We do work with medtech innovator, they're the two probably main meetings we do. But really, the type of companies that we typically explore are really the early stage or the mid stage, and the companies are very welcome, obviously, to reach out to Gore. But these events, are great for networking. I'm here with a couple of colleagues from Gore. We publish our bios, contact details, so the companies are very welcome, to schedule time, meet with us. But really, the general, guidance is really, the early stage to mid stage companies. Perhaps, some preclinical, maybe just about to do the first in-man implant. That type of company is the companies that Gore would probably be interested in speaking with or exploring. On reflection, over my career, in the medical device and healthcare, it's really identifying what that unmet clinical need is, and how can we differentiate, whether it's Gore technology, whether it's a startup, and really what value can we bring. And when I talk about value, it's not just for the patient, but it's for the patient, physician, payer, and provider. It's really checking those boxes, for the 4 Ps. we live in a very different world, to how it used to be, 10, 20 years ago. We have to bring that value, those value propositions, for the patient, payer, physician, and provider. And I'm thinking about some of the chronic diseases like, heart failure, diabetes, ophthalmology. Those are real big areas, that need to be addressed.
I love the fact that Gore is bringing that sort of the end of the line, the payer, the provider, and bringing that up to the front. I think that's an area where encouraging the entrepreneurs to think more holistically about all the way through the pipe and then bring that forward. I think that, are you finding that changes design decisions or choices early on?
It does, very early on. Within Gore, I work within our innovation group, within the product incubator, and we have a very sort of vigorous or structured process. And it's like a sort of phase gate review. And we try and identify technical, market, and business uncertainties very early on. And if we're uncertain about one of those areas, we will actually kill that project and not pursue it very early on before actually investing too far. And don't sort of read into this too much. When we actually look at things like, market access, reimbursement, and coverage, that early on, we just do like a cursory look. Do we think we're going to get market access, reimbursement, and coverage? It's a high-level look. And we may just take a look at, the United States, for example. We probably won't look at Japan. We won't look at Europe. That early on, we'll probably just look at the US. Then the further we actually go into the project, we will actually spend more money and then take a deeper dive. But what we try and do is actually de-risk the project in like a stage gate review from both, I said, from market, technical, and business risk, and then take a deeper dive.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, because you think about it, most projects, I'm sure you're aware of the data. I think most projects fail, not because of technology, but because of obviously product market fit. Mm-hmm. So that's why we really want to get that voice of the customer. And some of the work process we use is based around the Stanford biodesign process and also the lean innovation process out of Berkeley University as well.
So talk about the executive program, 3-day immersion, and what did you walk away with?
I'd say, throughout my medical career, I've been on a lot of, different courses, different programs. That is probably one of the best courses or programs I've been on. And Josh was actually on that program. He's one of the facilitators. I think, the caliber of the faculty, but also I think there's probably about half a dozen companies there. So it's limited to a small number of companies, and maybe I think about half a dozen people from each company. And they would actually, sort of mix the companies up as well, which is nice, and very different backgrounds. R&D leaders, marketing leaders, business leaders, so all sort of executive level participants. But the process, the way they actually go about, the must-haves, nice-to-haves, makes a lot of sense, and it's really taken that approach. And obviously, the students that go through the Stanford biodesign, and correct me if I'm wrong, I can't remember, when they actually go out and do their work, I think they have like 9 months or a year to do that. Yeah. In the real world, in a commercial strategic, you couldn't take a year to go out and do that research. So in Gore, we do like an accelerated approach, in 3 months to do that customer discovery. So we really take those elements, those key elements of, the must-haves and then the nice-to-haves that actually provide you that differentiation. I know it sounds really sort of basic, just saying that, but if you actually start off with, the must-haves, which is really the table stakes, to get into the market, and then the nice-to-haves, which is the differentiation, that's a good starting platform. And the other thing I can share with you, if we had actually applied, Stanford biodesign in other projects, it could have been within Gore or even outside of Gore, other companies, projects probably wouldn't have actually moved forward. So that's why I really see the value of that.
Oh, I love that. There's a phrase from U.S. Special Forces, mostly the SEAL team, but fail fast forward. Yeah. And so that's like, if you're going to get to that go, no-go decision, do that as early with as little capital as you can. I think that's one of the things that, at least with my work in biodesign, all I need is for you to have an idea
Mm-hmm.
that you care about, so that we can go through the process together.
That's
and
right.
really kind of cement. Because if we can show you to have ideas well, and then encourage you to have ideas throughout your career, that's what we need. Because the problems are going to keep changing. We're seeing that now with digital health
Yeah.
and many different sectors where these were unheard of. A product designer 15, 20 years ago, what data? Who cares? I mean, I got to make an implant I got biocompatibility problems. It was not even on the scope.
No, that's right. And the other approach that we do use at Gore, as I said, we use the lean innovation process. And that work was based on Steve Blank.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's the idea is rapid interviews, about 100 interviews over 3 months. And it's a team of just 3 people that go out and do the customer discovery interviews. On the team is I'm going to use sort of non-Gore terminology. So it's like an engineer, a marketing person, and then a clinical person. So 3 people. And these 3 people go out as a team, conduct 100 interviews. And those interviews include, again, the patient, payer, physician, and provider. And it's down to that team to come up with a recommendation, either a go, no go, or a pivot. They actually may identify through their interviews another opportunity. So we don't actually pay anything. Gore could actually go off and pay for a third-party company to do that research. But we actually ask the project team or that scoping team to go out and do the work, because they can conduct the interviews. They can actually get a deep understanding of the disease state, the challenges, the jobs to be done, and then maybe identify, a go, no go, or a pivot. And it's not down to the incubator or the Gore leadership to make the decision. It's down to that project team for the go, no go, or pivot decision.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah. That is the original troika for biodesign.
Mm-hmm.
We needed a doctor, an engineer. They were the troublemakers in the beginning.
All right.
And then you add the MBA because cost matters.
Yep.
Right. So doctors with engineers making incredible products without a cost barrier.
Yeah.
And the missing link, you rewind 25 years.
Yeah.
Well, we got to have business added to that. That was sort of the classic biodesign. Okay. And for many, many years, that was the mix.
Yeah.
So you guys have replicated that.
We have, and what we've done is really taken the best of I was going to say both worlds. It's really Stanford Biodesign, lean innovation, and Strategizer as well. The business model canvas. It's really those 3 elements.
Anything else that you want to share with us?
No, just I think it's an exciting time. The medtech community. There's a lot of advances around, obviously, personalized medicine, remote patient monitoring, whether it's diagnostics, guiding therapies. So I think with COVID-19, that certainly accelerated, the remote patient monitoring, reimbursement accelerated. But I think, it's an exciting time, I think, for startups, mid-stage companies now, and looking forward, to the coming year. So
terrific. Thanks for coming to visit with us.
Thank you.